The Canik TP9SFX has created a huge disruption in the competitive pistol shooting community and in the gun industry. With a list of features a mile long and many innovative design details, this pistol has quickly gained market share and created widespread hype. Can this pistol shoot as good as it looks? In this video, I'll examine the TP9SFX in greater detail than anyone has before. I'll take you on a data-driven guided tour and compare this pistol with my trusted, customized Glock 17. Can the Canik win out over the Glock? You'll have to watch the rest of the video to find out. Gavin Gee here from UltimateReloader.com. It all starts here. What I've got is the Canik TP9SFX Vortex Viper Red Dot Edition. It comes with a free Vortex Viper Red Dot sight, which is exactly what I was looking for in a competitive pistol. Let's get the case open and see what's included with this edition. So we've got some literature here, the red dot manual. We've got a cleaning cloth for the red dot. And then we've got, of course, the pistol itself. It is in the included holster. And the holster, if you look back here, actually comes in two parts. So we've got a paddle holster that's going to be on the side here. I absolutely love this. I'm probably going to use this without the retention strap. More on that in a little bit. We've got some cleaning tools here. That's always nice to have. It's nice to have in the case if you're taking the case with you. We've got the owner's manual. Getting back to the firearm itself, we've got a 20 round mag. These are 18 round mags. There's 18 rounds in the witness window there. But they've got the extension that gives you 2 extra rounds. There's a cover over the Vortex Viper Red Dot. Look at that. That is pretty awesome. There's a chamber flag, a little miniature bullet style one. And we've got a couple other really good things here too. We've got a second 20 round mag. We've got the mag loader. We've got a gun lock. You know where that goes. Straight into the trash. Use a gun safe. We've got some extra mounting hardware. We've got a second back strap, which I like. You can basically change the ergos to fit the contour of your hand. That's really awesome. And then we've also got 3 extra red dot mounting plates. Look for the full details in the video. First link in the video description. I'll have all of this spelled out in detail. And then we've got the Warren rear sight. It's got a fiber optic front sight. It's got a standard rear sight. I love the fact that it comes with both the red dot and the sights. That way I can use it however I want to. We've got a tool here for attaching some of the accessories. That is what's included with the pistol. This is a really amazing collection of gear for the price. I just looked, this is available online for about $729 with this Vortex Viper Red Dot. And if you compare that to the Glock 17, you're going to be at $500 or more just for the factory gun. And then if you add the red dot sight on, that's about $229. It comes in at exactly the same price. How are these going to fare together? Watch the rest of the video to find out. The next thing I'm going to do is clean the bore, and then we're going to look down the bore with a Borecam. So the good news is, if you're used to a Glock, the breakdown procedure is pretty much identical on the Canik. We're going to pull back on the slide, pull down on the 2 tabs, one on either side. These are actually a little bit easier to use than on the Glock. Remove the spring, and then tip out the barrel. It's pretty much identical procedure to the Glock. And I have the Glock 17 barrel here. We can see how much longer the Canik barrel is. Let's take some calipers and see what the actual difference is. So with the chamber, we're at 5.054 on the Canik, and for the Glock 17, we're at 4.348. So we've got some extra length on the barrel, and what I'm expecting to see is a little bit more velocity. We'll see when we go to test with a chronograph. So before I take a look with the Borecam, we're going to take a tipped-in carbon fiber cleaning rod. I love these because they have the revolving handles. I'll have a link in the video description if you want to know more about that. And I've got some Butch's bore shine here. What I want to do is put one wet patch down, and then we'll put down a couple dry patches as well. Nice and tight. That's the way we want to see that. That way, if there's any copper fouling from the factory test firing or any corrosion inhibitors, we're going to get that out before we break in the pistol and before we do our Borecam inspection here. Okay, good to go. So let's look down the bore with the Borecam. So starting with the Canik barrel, take a look at the chamber here. A little bit of machining marks, not too bad. And into the rifling. That looks pretty clean. Okay, try and get the light on there. There we go. Yeah, it looks nice and clean. And for comparison, let's take a look in the Glock barrel. So let's see. Here's the chamber. And this is a heavy use. This is a heavy use barrel. It's probably got 10,000 rounds down it at least. It looks a little bit smoother. I don't really see any machining marks there. And here's the polygonal rifling. It looks similar, I would say. It's a little hard to tell with a barrel that's seen so much use. Okay, so let's put the pistol back together. We're just gonna pop the barrel in, all the way back. Spring goes forward. Okay, and then just like the Glock, we're gonna put the slide on the frame, pull it all the way forward. Easy. If you really want to understand a trigger, you've got to produce a force distance profile graph. What I use is the Dvorak Instruments TS11. I just put the Canik TP9SFX on the TriggerScan and produced a triple scan. I got pretty good overlap on the lines, and what I found was, so the factory advertised spec for the TP9SFX trigger is 3.5 to 4 pounds. It was actually closer to 5.3 pounds peak force. It really depends on how they're measuring that. Let me compare that to a couple Glocks that I use on a regular basis. So here I've got a factory Glock 20 SF. This breaks at about 7.2 pounds. I think that's a good overall spec to use for a Glock factory trigger. My Glock 17 is raced out a little bit. It's got a Ghost 3.5 pound connector, polished up internals, and so on and so forth. It breaks at about 3.5 pounds. For action shooting, I actually like the 5.3 pound trigger. It actually feels really good, and I'm not going to need as light a trigger if I'm just focused on action shooting. Now in the take up, there was a little bit of grittiness on the graph, which you can see for the TriggerScan for the Canik. What I'm wondering is that going to smooth out with some use? This trigger only has about 20 pulls on it so far, just me dry firing it so far. Whereas the Glocks, before I did the trigger scans on those, they had 10,000 rounds at least through them, 10,000 trigger actuations. So I like the trigger, it feels great, I think it's going to be wonderful, but of course, I'm not going to know how I really like it until I shoot it. Perhaps the most compelling thing about the Canik TP9SFX is its laundry list of features at a low price point. For starters, this pistol has standard dovetail cuts for the sights. The front is compatible with Smith & Wesson M&P, and the rear is the same as a Glock 9mm, optimized for Glock 43 width. Warren tactical sights are standard equipment with interchangeable red and green fiber optic on the front sight. The Vortex Viper red dot sight comes pre-installed and has a nice rubber cover. Also included are 4 red dot interface plates for a variety of different types of red dot sights. A match grade barrel is standard with button rifling. You'll notice lightning cuts on the forward of the slide, which are more typical in custom pistols. It's got forward slide serrations. It comes standard with an ambidextrous cocking lever. It's got an extended ergonomic slide stop. It's got an adjustable length reversible magazine catch with 2 extra sizes of magazine catch extensions. It's got a striker status indicator, forward pick rail below the slide. Critical parts have a phosphate finish with tungsten gray Cerakote overcoat, which looks awesome. Magazines also have an AFC coating for low friction. The TP9SFX is loaded with features, but the real question is, how does it shoot? To start things off, I loaded some magazines full of ammo and got the Canik up to speed at about 40 feet on some steel. My initial impressions, love it, and the red dot seems to be sighted in pretty well from the factory. Then I decided to put the Canik head-to-head with the Glock 17 at 25 yards on steel with 10 rounds each. Let me show you how that went. At 25 yards, I'd give the edge to the Canik, and that's not surprising given the fact that it's got a red dot sight, but it is surprising given the fact that at this point I've got about 100 rounds through the pipe here on the Canik. I've got thousands and thousands of rounds through the Glock 17. I did miss the 25-yard steel on the first shot with the Glock, but I think that had more to do with the semantics of switching from the Canik over to the Glock. The Canik is a little slower for me to get on target with compared to the Glock because of the nature of iron sights, but I'm not a competitive pistol shooter. I want to do a bunch of learning in this area. So then I decided to put my fast shooting skills to the test. I loaded up a full magazine of ammo for the Canik. I actually got 21 rounds into this 20-round magazine, and it functioned great. So I moved my steel back to 10 yards, and at 30 feet, let me show you how that went. Again, I feel like I'm a little slow on initial acquisition, and I think some training from some of my friends is going to help out a lot with that. But I felt very confident with the Canik. It handles really well, and overall, I love the way it shoots. Love it. But here's the real story. Let's put it on the Ransom Rest and see how the accuracy is going to do compared to the Glock 17 with factory ammo and with hand loads. The Ransom Master Series pistol rest is really the only solution that enables you to isolate the mechanical accuracy of the pistol being tested from the accuracy potential of the ammunition that's being used and the human factors. It removes the shooter from the equation, and that's why I use it to evaluate pistols. Here's how I conducted my testing. I selected 3 different types of ammo. I've got hand loads that are based on Hornady's 124 grain XTP hollow point bullet. I've got Federal ammunition. This is factory ammunition with brass casings, 115 grain round nose load. And then I've also got Remington UMC, also brass cased factory ammunition with 124 grain bullets. For each of these types of ammunition, I fired 2 5-shot groups through each pistol in the Ransom Rest. And here's how things landed. Average velocity on the Glock, 1,119. Average velocity on the Canik, 1,168. That's about a 4.32% gain going from the Glock to the Canik. I actually expected just a little bit more than that. And what that tells me, based on the longer pistol barrel, you would expect it to be, I don't know, 10% more, something like that. That tells me that the Glock is getting really good powder burn efficiency based on that barrel length, but you do get a little bit more speed with the Canik. Now, how about the consistency of the speed? Let's look at the standard deviation of the velocities that were recorded during the testing. Glock 17, averaged 13.2 feet per second standard deviation, and the Canik averaged 12.7 feet per second standard deviation. That's a reduction of about 4%. That is impressive. And then finally, group size. The Glock shot the smallest group, about 0.9 inches for 5 shots at 19 yards, and here's where the averages landed. Glock 17, 1.78 inches, and Canik, 1.668 inches. That's about a 6.36% reduction going from the Glock over to the Canik. So during my testing, the Canik shot slightly smaller groups with slightly lower standard deviation with slightly higher velocities. Let's see how the rest of the features and overall impressions compare between these two great pistols. So here they are side by side, my customized Glock 17 and my Canik TP9SFX. Not exactly an apples to apples comparison. This is kind of more like a base model high quality pistol that's been customized. The Canik is a high quality pistol that comes loaded to the gills, competition ready. Starting with price, I would say the Canik is the hands down winner. When you consider the quality of the pistol, all of the features, all that's included, you get a holster, you get two 20-round magazines, you get multiple optics mounting options, you've got the mag loader, you've got the tools and extra parts that are necessary to customize the pistol. This comes with the red dot at a great value. It also has the cleaning equipment. It packs it all up in a nice case. Once you assemble the holster, it's not going to fit in the case, but if you just take out one screw, you can get it back in there how it comes from the factory. So price and value, hands down, the Canik. In terms of performance, we saw with our Ransom Rest testing and in my own shooting experience, I would say the Canik is slightly better. That's going to come down to personal preference. You know, ergonomically, you have more options with the Canik with the replaceable backstrap. With the Glock, you have a lot of aftermarket support. And you know, to counterpoint that, I'd say with the Canik, you don't need as much aftermarket because it comes loaded with so many options. And those dovetail sight cuts, M&P on the front, Glock on the rear, you're going to be able to put whatever you want on this pistol. It comes with the standard sight on a removable base. I love this. These are the Warren tactical sights. And then it has the 4 mounting plates for a wide variety of different optics mounting options. I'll have all of those details spelled out in full detail in the full write-up. It even comes with the rubber cover for the red dot sight. Everything is super well thought out. You just have to look in the case to see all of the parts, all of the accessories. It's got a padded cover for the spot where the holster goes. Everything has a place. If you take the pistol in the case to your competition with you, you've got a special tool here. You've got a special tool for the sight mounting inside this little white case. Everything has been well thought out and well provisioned, and I love the fact that it all fits in that compact case. So the Canik has more options. It has great quality. It's got more capacity at 20 rounds compared to 17 rounds. Overall, I think this is a really, really hard to beat value. Now, there's still going to be guys that are going to want to customize Glocks, and you're going to have a little bit more work to do, and the optics mounting situation is perhaps not going to be quite as elegant. You might want to consider a Glock 34, which has extended slide and longer barrel, all of those things. But at the end of the day, if you want a value-oriented pistol that's packed with features, that has a ton of options that you could win competitions with, I would say the Canik TP9SFX is an absolute winner. So I'll have more details and more semantics, more impressions in that full write-up. If you want to get the Canik TP9SFX, Palmetto State Armory has some killer deals. They've got this for almost $100 less than some other sites that I saw online. Click through to my link. My full post will have the full details on how you can take advantage of that offer and get your own TP9SFX. Okay, so I want to encourage you all to subscribe with notifications because I'm going to be loading competitive pistol ammo in bulk. I'm going to get trained from some of my friends to learn how to get on target faster, to hit more targets in less time. This is challenging for me. I'm more of a precision-oriented guy. I love this. It's something new, and I hope that you'll be along with me for that ride. So if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have a Canik TP9SFX, tell us what you think about it. Please drop a comment. Until next time, happy shooting and happy reloading.